Welcome to the Intuitive Ascending Mind podcast. Today, I want to share with you some previous shows that we've had on the success frequency because there's so much good knowledge that's on that show. And I wanted to incorporate some of that information over to the Intuitive Ascending Mind podcast because in that show, I really talked about the mind. I talked about what makes us successful. And I had some phenomenal guests that shared some of their insights as to what made them successful. And these are all beneficial little nuggets that I know you will enjoy. So take a listen, enjoy. Peace and blessings, my friend.
Welcome to the Success Frequency with host Aliyah Yasmin. Over the next hour, you're going to learn the impact in your life that results from your way of thinking. Aliyah and her guest will explore the best ways to achieve growth for you. Now, here's Aliyah.
Welcome to the Success Frequency. Aliyah Yasmin Khan here, your mindset coach, your guide, your entrepreneur expert. Here in the studio with me today is Karina Segovia. She's a real estate agent. She is doing some investments. She's kind of accomplishing quite a bit. Karina, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Aliyah. This is such a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Karina, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about what life was like and what got you into real estate.
Oh, yes. Well, I was born and raised in Mexico until the age of 15 here. And it was pretty much about just getting a job and get it done. And I was going to college and I remember walking in the parking lot and asking myself, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be? What is going to be my life like in like 10 years? And because I was going to college, but I had no idea. I had no idea on what to do. There was nothing that would grab me completely. And I remember winning a scholarship, and I went to receive the scholarship. They wouldn't just give you the scholarship. They made you actually go to this event and it's a women's conference type of thing. So I went there, and on that table there was this lady that really spoke to me. There was about 8 of us, and they said, introduce yourselves with your name and what you do for a living. And she gave her name, and she said that she was doing real estate and that she loved real estate, and she went into real estate because she wanted to make as much money as a male. And I had never thought about that concept. This was so new to me about the discrepancy in, salaries between males and females. And that was to me a clear sign of, oh gosh, I gotta talk to this lady. This is something else. Anywho, after that, I had a sales job, and the person that was training me for that job, and this happened within a week or two, this guy told me that I should go into real estate because I was not afraid of knocking on doors to offer. We were selling Cox Communications through a third party, so I was not afraid. It was just, I'm just knocking on your door. You want it, yes or no, and let's go to the next. That was it. That was simple for me. It's no big deal. But he said, I see you doing that. You're not afraid. You don't hesitate. I was like, what is real estate? Like, honestly, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And the third sign is I was still in this same sales team, and the guys from there, they got into wholesaling. So they had already been working into it. So I came into this new team. As I got into this new team, then I started to ask a little bit more questions about real estate and stuff like that because of the stuff that was happening around me, right? And one of the guys there just started giving me like a pep talk and saying, why don't you go into real estate? Why don't you go and get your license? We're going to need somebody with a license. And we're doing wholesaling, and you can list the houses that we don't sell as a wholesale. You can just list them on the MLS and this and that. and I didn't understand anything.
Yeah.
I
It's such a learning curve, huh?
God, yeah, that was like the biggest mountain to climb. It was just what? But I couldn't say anything like, I have no idea what we're talking about, or can you like make it simple so I can understand? I couldn't say anything because the energy which where he was coming from grabbed my attention. And even though I had a million questions in my mind, I just had to listen. When he stopped, and this was like, I don't know, like 20, 30, 40 minutes, an hour, I have no idea. We were talking. He said, okay, I gotta go, da, da, da. And I look up real estate schools, and it was like 4:10, 4:20 in the afternoon, in the evening. And I called the school and I said, hey, I'm interested in da, da, da. They're like, can you be here before 5 p.m. today? And I said, sure. I I I left the house after that. I left the house. I went to the school. I got there like 10 minutes before, and there was like three ladies they're trying to help me register everything. I'm filling out paperwork, and they're making copies, and these ladies running around trying to find me a notebook, book, and I don't know what else they have to give me, because I have to be sitting down no more than I think 10 minutes when after the class started, so that I can get the full credit, right? And I just remember commotion happening, and I'm writing as fast as I can, filling out this application, and I pay them and whatever, I'm there. And that was the beginning of everything. And I swear I still had very little information of what real estate and becoming a real estate agent was.
Yeah, it's amazing how sometimes I think that has a lot to do with like intuition kind of guiding you when you share like feedback about going to one place, one person talking to you about it, it ignites some type of inspiration within you. And then you go to another place, somebody else is talking about it, it ignites again some type of inspiration within you. And then eventually you take the guidance that's there and you decide to apply it and you decide to walk in that direction. And that takes a lot of courage to do that, because that world is not an easy world. And I can imagine like it probably was even tougher for you being, just, I mean, pretty new from a different cultural experience, from being from Mexico and then coming here and then making all of these adjustments, which, when you've shared some of your adjustments with me, I was like, oh, she's made some quantum leaps in her life, because it really does require a lot of discipline in order to make these adjustments and make these leaps. What did you do that helped you in your mindset to make that adjustment?
Oh, that's a really good question, because I have a lot of stuff to say about that. Oh, yeah. So my life really changed after I decided to live on my own and separate from my daughter's dad. She was about 2 years old. She's a teenager now. And I decided to move out. And I am in a situation where everything was going really well. 3 months in, and he's taking care of her on certain days. He's giving me money so I can buy her things. And I'm looking for a better job, for a better opportunity. And I have no idea where I fell from grace, or if you can say that, but something happened where he just completely disappeared. I'm like, okay, maybe it was his time to just try to find somebody else or something, right? And it was becoming very difficult. His mom started to help me taking care of my daughter as I went to school. As I went to school, I started to having difficulties finding who could take care of my daughter. And that is the most, I would say, powerful thing that made me change everything. At the same time, so everything is happening at the same time. I'm talking 3 months passed after I left him. I had a touch bottom after that. It was very hard. And I can go on that, but I don't want to touch that right now. It was difficult. And then I started trying to find help for my daughter, and for me and my daughter. And I made a bunch of phone calls to daycares, and I came across someone that suggested a scholarship. And so I found eventually, I would say, low cost or almost free daycare. And after that, at the same time, though, in the background is like I'm learning about mindset. For the first time, started listening to The Secret. I started listening to Your Wish Is Your Command, and I started to get into, how you call this, holistic type of living.
Yeah.
All these things, and that I didn't know how much that would change my life. And once I grasped to the idea, like I said, this is for me, and I'm running with this. I'm not gonna let it go. My life really started to turn around. Like so many things just started falling into place. First, like I said, I found this daycare for my daughter, and then I got into a different job, which is also, there's a little story there. I was working at this place, and I kid you not, I was making about $250 twice a year. I'm sorry, twice a month. It wasn't a weekly or biweekly. It was twice a month.
Wow.
And I was barely making it because I had to pay $400 for rent. And I went back to a little job that I had prior. They needed me for that weekend only. I had been gone for like a good couple months, and they said, "Hey, can you just cover for me this Sunday?" I was like, yeah, I'll be right there, right? I need the money. I need everything I can. I mean, I'm doing everything I can, right, to just make some money in. So I go back to that job, and there's this guy that tells me, "Hey, I started working at such and such place." He's the guy that told me he's like, I can see you doing real estate. You're not afraid of knocking doors. He's the same guy. He was a real estate agent in California. So when we're at this place, he's like, I got this job in Arizona. I'm not gonna, he only came here, like, I really don't know why, but he was here only for like a few days out of the month. And so he said, it's really good. It pays really, really good money. It is commission based, but you make a lot of money. There's people there making money. And so he's speaking my language, right? Because I have a need right now.
Yeah.
And so I said, and the other thing is that he said, and you make your own schedule. To me, that just like, where do I sign? Like,
right. Because you've got a child. So yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that just makes life a lot easier.
I hated leaving her in that daycare because she cried so many times, and she would raise her little hand to try to grab onto me as hard as they had to pull her away. That for any mom, for anybody, any parent, that's just heartbreaking. She didn't like it. And anyway, so when this guy says, you can make your own schedule. You can work nights, or you can work just weekends, or whenever. Come check it out. And like I said, my need is such that I'm like, I'll be there. And I'm still at that place. And I was raised to always, you be a people pleaser, pretty much, because it's part of our culture too. It's like, you just gotta be nice, blah, blah. And I had never just quit on a job. I would always put in my 2-week notice. I would always, not this time. This time I couldn't. I took my chances, and I called them, and I did call, and I said, I'm not showing up. I'm not going to work.
Yeah.
And I called different places. I called the girl I would go to work with carpool. And I said, don't pick me up, please. And I think I'm going to leave this job and for good. And thank you. So the next day, so that was on a Sunday. The next day, it's Monday. And I don't have to meet I don't have to go to the new job until Tuesday. So I have Monday for myself. I'm getting phone calls from the managers and saying, hey, if you need to take a day off, that's okay, but we really want you back, right?
Yeah.
We really want you back. And I got a few phone calls, and I let them go to voicemail. I'm sitting in my small little tiny kitchen, and so tiny. This is huge right here. And all of a sudden, fear comes, and I start feeling like, oh my God, I had a real job, right? And I call it a real job because my ex used to tell me, why don't you get a real job? He told me once over the phone. We were arguing about something. And then I'm thinking, right, I'm like, I had a real job. What am I doing? And I'm crying
in the kitchen
in the
right now.
kitchen.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're going to
And
take a little break and I'm going to let
yes.
you pick back up from the kitchen crying as soon as we get back from this little commercial break. Thank you, Karina.
Thank you.
Sublime Knowledge Mindset Coaching offers guaranteed results. 100% of clients reported seeing positive changes in their mindset after just one session. Clients learn to release negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions, improving their overall well-being. Create the life you've always envisioned for yourself. Shift your mindset after one session, or your money back, guaranteed. Welcome back to the Success Frequency with Aliyah Yasmin. We hope you are finding these tools and tips applicable to your own situations in life. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the Success Frequency. I'm here chatting with Karina, and we left off at such a crucial point. She's on the kitchen floor, she's crying, and her whole life's falling apart. This is what I call the dark night of the soul, but this is where we're at right now, and she's questioning everything about life. Every single one of us have been there at some point in our lives. Karina, let's pick back up from the kitchen floor, okay?
Do you know what I like about that movie, Sing? Is that he says, you know the best part of touching bottom?
You can't go past it.
You can only go up from there.
That is so true.
Yes. It is so true. And for everybody, we've all had those moments on touch bottom.
Yeah.
Then we have to only climb up. There's nothing else.
Life is about that pendulum, though. When you understand that, like, you're going to be pulled into different extremes throughout the course of your life, you get to the point in understanding, like, oh my gosh, I am being pulled right now at this particular moment. But this is just temporary, because when it pushes back in the opposite direction, like if this is a bad pull, if this is like a crying on the kitchen floor type pull, like when it's time to move momentum wise in the opposite direction, you just like you propel further, faster once you can wrap your mind around that moving forward mindset. And I think you were definitely onto something by, starting to immerse yourself in this understanding of mindset, because, I got to tell you, like, I don't feel like there's enough people that understand the power behind this mindset in starting to understand our minds, understanding why we think the way that we do and how to shift. And I think that was one of the pivotal moments that you started to shift, was when you started to understand and you started to choose different thoughts.
Yeah.
So
it is about choosing. Yes.
Tell us what the choice looked like as you started, as you got off the kitchen floor. Like, let's go back to the kitchen floor. Tell us what you did to make that move.
I do think that one of the biggest things that helped me get off that floor was some feeling. It is about a feeling that came after I cried. It was a very peaceful feeling and some type of trust enough, and just having this something to try to not wanting to control everything, right? Because it's so hard.
So you're ready to release control at this point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of times we are so obsessed with controlling the narrative that we allow that desire for control emotionally to make our situation worse, because life is about flow. You can only control projects, you can control situations, but sometimes you're so obsessed with control. And the thing is that, like, when it comes to goals, we always focus on the what, but we're never the ones to determine the how. So the what is the goal that we know that we want to achieve. How, whatever that path looks like that takes us to that goal is something that's going to be determined outside of us. Like, I remember over 2 years ago, before I started Sublime Knowledge, I was like sitting out on a patio, and I was like, I can imagine myself being on stage, like giving a speech about mindset, because I understand it. Like I get it. And like I would sit there and I'd envision it. Now, later on this week, I'm going to be in Washington State, and I'm going to be in front of a crowd of people, and I'm going to be giving a speech about mindset. And I caught that in vision way before it ever manifested. And I knew that that was going to happen at some point, because I just knew how passionate I was about it. And I wanted people to understand what I knew about it, because it didn't matter what challenges, whether it was a death, whether it was a breakup, it didn't matter what challenges. And Ashley can attest to this. Like she's seen me go through like the most like biggest challenges, and my personality doesn't change. My behavior doesn't change. My optimism in life doesn't change. Like, and I mean like from death to the things that are the most traumatic for the average human. And you don't see a whole lot of shift in my behaviors, but I had to study me to understand how I built that resilience. And then I had to package that. So I packaged that information into the Intuitive Ascending Mind program, because I studied me, I understood what I knew. And then I said, if I can give this package to somebody, that might avoid the kitchen floor moment. If they knew, if they knew that disruption is going to follow intention to a certain degree, the moment they set their sights on a goal, that you got to get ready. You created a goal at some point, Karina, and that was just a matter of getting you closer to that goal. So you may not have been able to see it at that particular moment, because you're currently in real time looking at something so immediate that you can't see the long-term projection of the how things were going to align to get you to your next phase of life, your next level in life. And we're always going on to different levels throughout the course of our life. And people come in and people leave, and situations come up and situations pass, and life is ever changing through this beautiful journey, which I really think is a beautiful journey. When you embrace it, you allow in the people that you want to have there, and then you allow, when it's time to make peace with some people, you just let them go. It's okay. It's time to make peace with this situation, and you just release and you just keep on going. Because ultimately, bringing it back to had a valid point about people pleasing. That is a contradiction to what we actually are. And I'll tell you why. Because to be people pleasing is a problem. You can never please people, right? They just can't be pleased. But we should be self-serving to a certain degree. And then people will say, oh, well, that's selfish. You shouldn't be self-serving. Okay. But every single moment of your life determines on your ability to take care of yourself. So that is service to yourself. So I don't necessarily look at that completely negatively, but how do you take care of yourself? Now, this is where the people come in. You actually have to be people serving to serve yourself. And when you become people serving and you start to serve the lives of others, like you do in real estate, you're serving the community, you're serving people that need to buy a home, or people that need to sell a home. You're in service. And as a result, you're compensated pretty well for doing so. And as we take ourselves out of the realm of probably not self-serving in that manner, but then taking the service that we can offer and presenting that out to the public, then we're not people pleasing, we're people serving. And in people serving, there's a ton of money involved, because you're going to be rewarded for the service that you give to others. So it's such an awesome transformation that happens. But I'm impressed with your mindset.
Thank you. I think I came a long way.
Yeah. What do you think were some challenges that you encountered along the way?
Same. It's always been like you discovering that you have more baggage than what you thought you like. You remove something, and then you keep going, and then there's something else comes up because you meet a new person, you go through a new situation that brings up things that you didn't know you had, that you couldn't handle, that you did a poor job at, and you're striving for excellence. But up until you have to go through that to then say, okay, I need to take care of this so that I can keep going, right? And so you could do the best you can to overcome all of that. keep going just to find out that, yeah, you were missing something and here's another lesson you have to learn.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a self-discovery journey. It's never ending.
It is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how far anyone might ever think they have evolved. Everything's on an infinite spectrum. It doesn't matter. Like, you may think you've come a really far way, but it's an infinite spectrum.
Yeah.
There's still possibilities. There's still options that you're not solving. You know, you read a lot of people that have accomplished a lot in their life, and they have a level of dissatisfaction that's always there. And that dissatisfaction's always like, that's their growth edge. That's being dissatisfied to say, okay, I could do this better somehow. Because if we ever get into a part where we feel comfortable with ourselves, all of a sudden growth's limited. That's it. You're comfortable. You're stagnant.
I was listening to this video on YouTube, and it was Tony Robbins talking about Michael Phelps, saying he's got a lot of gold medals, this and that, but he doesn't feel like, you know, he reaches a point and we celebrate, but he only celebrates when he receives the medal, gold medal or something, right? And that's it. It's a millisecond. He's celebrating for a very, very small period of time. Yeah. So he helped him to celebrate life in the little things and everything longer and more often and this and that. And that was very impactful because I don't think that I was doing that. Yeah. I tend to minimize my achievements. But after I listened to that, my daughter made it to the soccer team for her school. So I started saying, yes. So I said, we're doing this intentionally. So you know that we're celebrating you. And that, and now little things that come up that I can celebrate about something. Another thing, I have to share this. I went to the Toastmasters group a couple times, and there is this man. He is in his 90s, and he stood up, and they asked him, out of all the holidays in the year, which one is your favorite one? And we're all listening, right? Silence in the room. And he says, each and every morning that I get up, I celebrate that day that I am able to still get up and be here. Yeah. And then I just wanted to get up and say, oh my God, like, yeah, you go. Like, honest to God. Everybody was still silent. They were all just trying to absorb what he had said, right? But that stuck with me. Oh my gosh, yeah. So.
Every day is the greatest day ever, right? Every day is the greatest day ever. In my opinion, like, seriously, because it's like, you do have to celebrate it, and you have to understand, like, when you're celebrating it, it's emotions involved. So you're trapping good memories. Yes. Now, when you don't do that, what gets defaulted in there is the trap of bad memories only.
Right.
But if you celebrate, you're emotionally trapping good memories in there. Like, you're consciously trapping these good memories.
Isn't this, that movie Inside Out too? Did you make that movie?
No,
Is that what you're talking
about? I haven't seen it. But.
Okay, so it's about memories.
But
it is such a good movie.
Life is about experiences, and those are the things that we actually take with us. Like, when the end of life comes, like, it's the memories, it's the experiences that makes it all valuable. And the better we get at building those experiences, that's what actually means something to us, because we look back at the experience and we just start laughing. You know, like, when you think about, like, good experiences, that's the response that you're going to have, is like, you're just going to be like cracking up. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Oh my God, I can't believe I survived that. Like, you know, you look back at life and you're like, oh my gosh, but it took confronting fear to build those experiences. And when your good experiences outweigh your bad experiences, now you're starting to seize life, because instead of the one night on the kitchen floor, you're celebrating everything. You're celebrating every moment. You're celebrating life. You're seizing life, and you're really immersing yourself in the beauty of everything that's around you. Yes. And that's what it means to live in the present moment. Like, it's an account of the present moment.
Yeah.
Is the touching, it's the seeing, it's the family, it's the loved ones, it's the people that you have around you at this moment. It's not looking about what you lost in the past.
Right.
What you had in the past, you have to maximize on, because today becomes the past tomorrow. So like if you maximize on it today and you stay immersed in it today, then when it turns into the past, you're like, okay, well, we had some good memories, we had some good experiences, and you can be in a place of gratitude for those experiences, because those experiences, when the good outweighs the bad just falls away. You won't even think about the bad. But if you don't do this consciously, if you don't consciously choose the good experiences and build a mindset to be immersed in the good experiences, then what happens is that the bad is like running like on replay in this debilitating loop in your mind, in which you can't break the cycle of the past and you can't move forward. You can't future think for a happier future because you're so stuck in the past. And what's done is done. You can't change it. It is what it is. We're going to take another break right now. And as soon as we get back, we're going to chat a little bit. Maybe Ashley has some questions. She's been super quiet on this podcast so far.
So many questions.
I will power here. Success isn't for everyone. It demands focus, discipline, and strategy. Introducing the OWLS method, designed for those who take their goals seriously. O. Become the observer of your thoughts and feelings. Analyze them. Become aware of your emotions and beliefs. Only then can you master your mind. W. You should write down your goals, every detail, every step, and write the thoughts and affirmations that will drive you relentlessly toward them. L. Listen. Fill your mind only with knowledge that will move you to your goal. Write affirmations that fuel your ambition. No distractions. No compromise. S. Speak with certainty. Your words reflect your beliefs. When you speak, it's not a possibility, it's an inevitability. It's confidence. Observe, write, listen, and speak. The OWLS method. Master your thoughts. Conquer your goals.
Welcome back to the Success Frequency with Aliyah Yasmin. We hope you are finding these tools and tips applicable to your own situations in life. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the Success Frequency. I'm here chatting with Karina Segovia. We've got Ashley back in the studio. It's been a little while, Ash. I'm so glad you're back. Feels good. Do you have any questions, Ashley?
Yes, please. Okay.
This is Ashley's question segment.
Okay. I know I'm not the only one. Okay, so what happens when you get up off the kitchen floor, you come to Arizona, you make the move, or?
No, I'm actually living here in Arizona already.
Okay.
Yeah. And what happens after that is I can go on and on, but this is the most, just everything that I do moving forward. It's the ladder to becoming more enlightened, if that's the right word, and more in touch with that higher self, and making more money, and making money that I never thought I could make. And once I got off that floor, and I showed up the next day to the interview, that was the beginning of what I am today.
So you quit the job before the interview. That's how much faith you had to have. You just said, I'm not going in tomorrow, which was hard. As someone who, I'm currently in a 3 to 6 month notice for my job. So I know what you mean about not wanting to disappoint, not wanting to sever ties and burn bridges. Yes. So
it was very difficult.
Those are very difficult decisions, but ultimately, my guidance towards entrepreneurs or towards individuals that are going to take their own destiny into their hands. This is going to sound really harsh because even as a company, I need people, but there's a moment in your life when it's time. There's a moment to develop your skills, and that's why you would work for another company. It is for skill development, it's for talent development, it's for personal development, right? Then there's a moment in which it's time to walk away and do that for yourself. That's where the biggest gap is, because most people are so terrified of that walk away part. Mm-hmm. Most people are so scared to not have a weekly paycheck come into them. Yeah. And when you finally have inspiration speaking to you, something that's telling you, start the business, do this, do that, you could do this. If that person can do it, you can do it. Like, you have this internal dialogue that goes on in your mind. And the moment that you commit yourself to that decision, things will just align. But it is I think that's probably one of the scariest things. I think,
that's why people
COVID helped me a great deal, because COVID did shut me down. And during the shutdown that I had during COVID, that did give me direction and say, okay, we'll take control of your finances. Like, I was in a decent place going into COVID, but it gave me even more momentum, because I said to myself, well, what if this happens again? What if something like this happens again? Like, what do we do at that point? And we really teeter on like a very fragile surface right now. Like, humanity is on like just very fragile life right now, because everything, like one severe solar storm can disrupt every single one of us at this particular moment. Like, things are so fragile. And when I think about stuff like that, it's like, that's where you really have to build yourself up mentally strong enough to be able to weather through the storm and be able to say, you know what, it doesn't really matter. I'll cross that bridge when it's time to cross it. But, to mentally prepare yourself by being able to be flexible in your mindset in whatever it is that life will throw at you, because we play the game of life. And no matter how good we get to, we're always going to be challenged by something. And when it's time to bridge that gap and get to the next level, a challenge will come up. And when the challenge comes up, the question is, are you going to change the goal, or are you going to find a way? And that's the critical point. So when you have the resilient mindset, you said, no, I've zoned in on this goal. This is my goal. I'm obsessed with the goal. I am not going to change anything. I'm going to achieve this goal. And you see people, like, bringing it back to Michael Phelps, you brought him up earlier, but this is the unique thing about it, is because where his excitement lied, like his happiest moment, is the moment that he's in the pool, striving to touch that record, striving to touch that's his actual happiest moment, because he is in motion with this like hunger, with this thirst, with this desire. And then once he's given the goal, he might be excited for a couple of days, but then it's like, okay, well, what else?
Well, and that's when you build the dopamine. And in your case, that's when you build the resilience and the trust and the faith that maybe you didn't have before. Right. And as far as financial, jobs, and the statistics say that people who are willing to make that jump, which so many people are not, they make 50% more over their lifetime. So you are working essentially for yourself right now. You have a company, but you're working for yourself. And so you can build as big as you like. But for people who are in a job where, it's a set pay, there's a wall or a ceiling, if you will. If they're not willing to make that jump, or they're afraid to, and afraid to look, and they're losing 50% over their lifetime. So that's really cool to hear. And I'm also dying to know the guy that kept giving you this advice and sprinkling little like seeds of the universe.
Yeah. Okay. So there was two. Was the one that took me from that job and then told me you can knock on doors and it's okay. Maybe consider real estate.
Yes.
But I guess there was another guy that gave me the pep talk. Now, them were also like a big influence, but I can't really minimize or make it like everybody really made before. Like I said, when I was walking in college and I was like, where am I supposed to be going? What am I supposed to be doing? And there was some assurance. Something came to me, giving me an assurance and saying, you're gonna be okay. Don't even think about that stuff. Everything is already set for you. Like It was like such like a, when the judge hits the thing, it's done, and this is what I'm gonna this is what's gonna happen, and it's done. And I say so, right?
Yeah.
And so
Goosebumps.
that's how I.
So that guy then someone brought you to the company they were at, right? Someone that gave you some hope, brought you to the company. And are they still there? Are they still guidance for you?
No.
It just
He moved.
happened that
Wow. He went back to California and didn't even like. I don't even think we ever stayed in touch. He was just brought me, but there's a crazy story about this because he brought me in, and he leaves. He just brings me in. I have to interview with the manager. The manager has to take a phone call, and he takes like the longest phone call there was, and he says. Puts the phone away and says, look, I gotta take this phone call. It's gotta take a while, so please give me a minute. So it took a long time. It was like close to an hour. I am not able to just sit still and say yes, sir, and stay. No way. That's not my personality. I'm running around the room, going outside, coming inside, looking at the walls. He's got a lot of graphs on the wall, numbers and things that I don't just kind of, it's a men's cave, right? His office. So nothing attracts me. There's no pictures, there's graphs and numbers and things like that. So, but whatever, I'm starting looking and I see the graph where it says the rep number, so the representative number, which is they don't have names, you have a rep number, and then on the other side it has the month and on top the year. So I was looking at this graph and then there was like a couple inches high here and then like 5 inches, and then one really stood up. It was like all the way to the top. Now we're talking the 1%. Okay. Mm-hmm. I still don't know anything about 1%. Nothing. I'm not really, I read, but I'm not really into that mindset yet. I'm beginning to do it. So anyway, I'm looking at this graph. Finally, when I go around and do these things, finally he ends up. The first thing I tell him, I said, I want to train with this person. Oh yeah. But wait. And I said, wait, is this even real? Like, right? And is this real? He says, yes. And he says, but you can't train with him. He's so busy. He's busy. You can tell. Like, and another thing that it said at the bottom, it said how much money they made for the week, for the month. Wow. And it's like in the thousands, like a lot of money. And I'm like, is this like real? And so he says, don't worry about it. I'm going to train you. Because I want I was the salesperson for this company. So he gives me his bio, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. All right. So we go out and he's like, okay, this is what you do. You knock on doors. Hey, hi. You introduce yourself. You show your ID and you tell them, about services. If you already have Cox services, that's okay. You can still add cable or phone service or internet services cheaper through me than going to the store, because we're a third party. We gave the best deals, like honest to God. So anyway, so he this was on a Tuesday. He trains me that week. We have to meet on Friday. Everybody meets Friday. It's paycheck, and everybody has to go to the office for the meeting if you want a paycheck. Mm-hmm. I arrive. Before getting there, I stop at the bakery store. See, because I was raised, I'm a giver. It's just natural. I pick up some breads, some goodies, bring them there, and there's only males, and there's about a good dozen of them or something, and they're all in them over, I guess, like between 30s and 50 something, and this is overwhelming. So I get there, I sit down, I put the bread on the table, whatever. I get introduced, and they're like, she already made a couple sales these days. So everybody's like, whoa, because you make 1 or 2 sales a week or something, right? I just started. But this was I was grateful to the manager. He had already been working some people. Mm-hmm. So when I went, I just made the sale, but he had already been working. So anyway, but he gave me a great introduction, right? Yeah. And at the end, I get up, everybody it's good, whatever. I think only one person grabbed a piece of bread, and I had taken like 10 pieces. And I remember I was putting it back in the bag, and I was thinking, like, what am I going to do with this? Like, there's so many pieces left. And I'm in my world, right? Thinking like what about the bread. When somebody says, "Hey, can I have one?" And I said, "Of course, take as many as you can." He's like, "Hey, my name is such and such." He says, "Why don't you come and work with us?" And he was the number one, the one I wanted to work with. And then from there, everything, I swear.
Oh my.
And so many things like that just always lined up.
That's amazing. And we've seen that happen so many times, but it still gives you goosebumps when it happens again and again. And oh, that's amazing.
I honestly can tell you though, it is. I didn't know I was gonna meet them necessarily. They were gonna invite me.
Yes.
I had no idea who they were. But to me now, it's like if you can take goodies somewhere, take them.
Oh, you think the bread did the trick? I think the intention, I think the moment you analyzed that chart and you said, I want to be like this dude, I want to train with this guy. I think that was your moment.
That was it.
I think you set the intentions at that moment because you're like, I'm going to be top 1%. Like that's what I want to do in this company. You know?
Yes.
That's what I want to do. And
I was, by the way. Multiple times. I did reach the number
fantastic.
one.
That's fantastic. It's all about visualization. You saw yourself up there. You saw it before it even happened. You know, I'm going to touch for like a quick minute because on sales is the most important thing we can ever hone in skills on doing. It is I think it's undervalued by the majority of salespeople that are out there. But I will tell you, mastering the ability to sell is probably the best skill you can ever do, and mastering communication. If you can sell something, and I don't mean like sell it like a grungy salesperson. I mean literally give people what they're asking for. Like be able to provide service to people that are beneficial to them, to give them what they're asking for. That's a real salesperson. Like when you're able to allow them present the information in such a manner that when they see it, they realize the benefit in what it is that you're offering them, and they're able to sell it to themselves. Like whether you were there or not there. That's where the magic happens in sales. And it all has to do with presentation. It all has to do with the way you value the clients and how you put the clients first. But, you know, sales is a big part of everything that we do. And we should pay attention to developing those sales skills. Anyhow, we are down to the last minutes of this segment. And I want to thank you, Karina, for being here. I'm sure there is a ton of value everybody's going to get from this. It was very inspiring. Ashley, as always, thank you for being here. Karina, will you share with our listeners how they can find you if they want to reach out to you?
Yes, of course. I am on Instagram, and my name is Karina Segovia, Realtor _REI, and 602-391-0139. You can reach me there if you have another podcast, and I can go.
Podcast, or if you need some real estate.
Yeah.
For international people, she's at +1 602.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Thank you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.